Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Spruce Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over the Week 13 NFL predictions. So last week, I had a record of 9-4, and that brings my record on the season to 117-62. Kicking things off this week with the games on Thursday or Thanksgiving. And speaking of Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys watching. But beginning with the Bears at the Lions. So the Lions, they're one of the best teams in the NFL, and they don't face a struggling Bears team that has lost 5 in a row. Although the Bears, they have come very close to winning their past 2 games, as they lost on a blocked field goal and then lost in overtime to the Vikings last week. But I think this could be an interesting game, as we have an elite Lions offense, which is best in the NFL, scoring 32.7 points per game, and they play a good Bears defense that's allowing 19.7 points per game, and that ranks 8th. Then offensively for the Bears, they're scoring 20.1 points per game, but Caleb Williams is coming off a great performance where he threw for 340 yards last week. But Caleb Williams and the Bears offense now face a Lions defense that isn't great against the pass, allowing 227 passing yards per game, which is bottom 10. But the Lions don't give up many points, allowing just 16.6 points per game, which is second best in the NFL. But I could see the Bears making this one interesting, but the Lions are just a better team on both sides of the ball. I think this game is close for a while before the Lions pull away late, and they win by a score of 27-16. Moving on, we have the Giants at the Cowboys. So this is going to be a terrible game, as we have the 2-9 Giants against the 4-7 Cowboys. Now the Cowboys did get a win last week as they beat the Commanders, but they're still pretty bad. The Giants offense is scoring just 14.8 points per game, which is worse than the NFL. And if that's not bad enough, the Giants are also very banged up on the offensive side of the ball, as quarterback Tommy DeVito has a forearm injury and is unlikely to play, so it'll be Drew Lock getting the start, and it'll be his first start of the season. And he's playing behind a banged up Giants offensive line, which is already reshuffled, so the Giants will likely be playing with their third string left tackle. Now, the Giants offense faces a bad Cowboy defense that is the second worst defense in the NFL, allowing 29 points per game. But the Cowboys should have a good pass rush, so I think they'll be able to get consistent pressure on whoever the Giants quarterback is, likely Drew Lock. Then offensively for the Cowboys, they're not great. Cooper Rush isn't very good, as the Cowboys are scoring just 16 points per game in his 3 starts, and they go against the Giants defense that's allowing 22.9 points per game on the season. But this is a tough game to predict with how bad both teams are. I don't think the Giants will do much offensively, especially with all their injuries. Even though they're playing a bad Cowboy defense, I still don't think they'll do a ton offensively. And I've got the Cowboys getting the win here by a score of 20-10. And if the Cowboys win this game, it will be their first home win of the season, as they're currently 0-5. Moving on, we have the Dolphins at the Packers. So I think this should be a pretty good game. The Packers are 8-3, and the Dolphins, their record isn't great, but they've been playing pretty well, especially since Tua returned from injury. As the Dolphins have won 3 straight games, and since Tua has returned from injury, he's been great, with 11 touchdowns and just 1 interception, plus the Dolphins are scoring 29 points per game during that same time period. The Dolphins offense matches up against a Packers defense that is top 10, allowing 20.3 points per game, and they're also solid against the pass, allowing 206 passing yards per game. On the other side, the Packers offense is also great, as they have the 8th highest scoring offense in the NFL, averaging 26.2 points per game. Plus, they have the 3rd best rushing offense in the NFL, averaging 151 rushing yards per game. Then defensively for the Dolphins, they're solid, allowing 21.5 points a game, and they're actually really good against the run, allowing just 105 rushing yards per game. But this is an interesting game. I think the Dolphins have a chance to win this game, but I'm going to take the Packers to get the win. I trust them more. They're home, and the Dolphins don't play very well in cold weather. So I'm going to take the Packers to get the win by a score of 24-21. I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins get the win. Moving to the game on Black Friday, and that is the Raiders at the Chiefs. So this is a game that shouldn't be close on paper, but I feel like we might get a close game on the field. But on paper, you have the 2-9 Raiders against the 10-1 Chiefs. But the Chiefs, they play a lot of close games, as 8 of their 11 games this season have been decided by 1 score. But the Raiders, they're pretty bad. They're scoring just 18.7 points per game. Plus, they'll be starting Aiden O'Connell at quarterback after Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone and is out for the season. But the Raiders, they face a Chiefs defense that is allowing 19.8 points per game on the season. They have not been playing that well as of late, allowing 30 and 27 points in back-to-back games. Now, I do think the Chiefs have a good opportunity to refine their form defensively against a bad offense, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. Then offensively for the Chiefs, they're scoring 24.5 points per game, and the Raiders are the fourth worst, allowing 28.5 points a game. But the Chiefs, they're the better team here. I think this could be a close game, but I think the Chiefs win this game pretty convincingly, and I've got them winning by a score of 31-14. And the Chiefs can actually also clinch a playoff spot this week with a win and losses by either the Broncos or the Dolphins. Moving to the games on Sunday, starting off with the Falcons hosting the Chargers. So this is an interesting game, as both these teams kind of need this game. The Chargers, they're 7-4 and are currently sitting in the second wildcard spot in the AFC, while the Falcons are 6-5 but have lost two straight games and are barely leading the NFC South. But I think this should be a pretty good game, as the Falcons' offense is solid, scoring 22.2 points per game, plus they have a top 5 passing offense, averaging 243 passing yards per game. But they face a great Chargers defense that is the number one scoring defense, allowing just 15.9 points per game. Plus, they're good against the pass, allowing 203 passing yards per game. On the flip side, the Chargers are also scoring a little over 22 points per game, but they face a Falcons defense that is not good, allowing about 25 points per game. But I could see this game going either way, but I'm going to take the Chargers to get the win. I think their offense will play well against not great defense. Their defense will contain Kirk Cousins and the Falcons' offense, and I've got the Chargers getting the win by a score of 26-19. Up next, we have the Steelers at the Bengals. So this is another interesting game, because we have a Steelers team who is 8-3, but they're coming off a bad loss to the Browns, and they face a 4-7 Bengals team. Now, the thing that makes this game really interesting is we have a great matchup between an elite Bengals offense and an elite Steelers defense. As the Bengals, they're scoring 27 points per game, and they have the best passing offense in the NFL, passing for 262 yards per game. But they face a great Steelers defense that is fourth best, allowing 16.9 points per game, and they're allowing 214 passing yards per game. On the other side, the Steelers offense is averaging 22.9 points per game, and they face a bad Bengals defense that's allowing about 27 points per game. But I could see this game going either way, especially because the Bengals are home. But I think this game is going to go the way a lot of Bengal games have gone so far this season. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense will play pretty well even against a good defense, but the Bengals defense just isn't good enough, and I've got the Steelers outscoring the Bengals and winning by a score of 26-23. But I wouldn't be shocked to see this game go either way. Up next, we have the Cardinals at the Vikings. So the Vikings, they've been playing well as they're winners of 4 straight, and they faced a Cardinals team that's 6-5, although they're coming off a loss to the Seahawks, and in that game they did not score a touchdown. But the Cardinals, they're scoring 22.2 points per game, and they face a Vikings defense that ranks 5th, allowing 17.9 points per game. On the flip side, the Vikings are good offensively, scoring about 25 points a game, and Sam Darnold is coming off a huge game with over 300 passing yards and multiple passing touchdowns. And he plays a Cardinals defense that is okay, allowing 21.5 points per game and 218 passing yards per game. But the Cardinals need to get back to winning if they want to keep pace in the NFC West. But I have the Vikings getting the win. I think their defense will control this game, their offense will play well as well, and the Vikings, they get the win by a score of 21-12. Moving on, we have the Colts at the Patriots. So the Colts are 5-7, and they play a Patriots team that is 3-9. The Colts offense is scoring 20.2 points per game, but they're coming off a bad showing against the Lions where they put up just 6 points. But I do think the Colts have a good opportunity to bounce back offensively, as the Patriots aren't great defensively, allowing 23.5 points per game. Then offensively for the Patriots, they're not good at scoring just 16.4 points a game, but Drake May is playing pretty well, and I could see him having another good game. Against the Colts defense isn't great, allowing about 23 points a game and 233 passing yards per game. But I do have the Colts getting the win here. I think they're the better overall team, and I've got the Colts winning this game by a score of 20-14. But I could see the Patriots potentially getting the win, but I've got the Colts in a close one. Up next, we have the Jets hosting the Seahawks. So the Seahawks, they get a much-needed win last week as they beat the Cardinals 16-6, and they're now 6-5, and they play a struggling Jets team. The Seahawks offense is solid, scoring 22.4 points per game, and they have a great passing game, throwing for 257 passing yards per game, which is second most in the NFL. The Jets defense is pretty good, allowing 22 points a game, and they have the second best pass defense, allowing just 174 passing yards per game. And then on the flip side, the Jets offense isn't good, scoring just 18.5 points a game, and they face an inconsistent Seahawks defense. Because some weeks the Seahawks look great, Other weeks they're terrible. The Seahawks are coming off a good performance where they allowed just 6 points last week, so maybe they can build on that. But I have the Seahawks getting the win here. I think the Jets defense will contain the Seahawks offense, giving the Jets a chance to win. But I just don't think the Jets will do enough offensively. I think the Seahawks defense plays well again, and I've got the Seahawks beating the Jets in a lower scoring game, 19-13. Up next, we have the Titans at the Commanders. So the Commanders, they started off the season strong, but they've actually lost 3 straight games. Although they do have a chance to get back in the win column this week, as they play a pretty bad Titans team. Now, the thing that makes this interesting is the Titans just upset the Texans last week, and Will Levis has actually been playing some pretty good football. As in his past couple of games, he's averaging 285 passing yards a game, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So I do think there's a chance Will Levis continues to play well, as he faced the Commanders' defense that is allowing 29 points per game on their 3-game losing streak. Now, offensively for the Commanders, they're good, scoring 27.8 points per game, and they face a not great Titans defense, allowing 26.4 points a game. This is a game where I wouldn't be shocked to see the Titans with the upset win, especially with them playing well and the Commanders struggling, but I am going to take the Commanders to get the win, although I do think Will Levis will have a pretty good game, and the Titans will keep it close, but I've got the Commanders getting the win by a score of 25-22. Moving on, we have the Texans at the Jaguars. So the Texans, they need a bounce back win after losing to the Titans last week, and they have a good chance to do so facing a Jaguar squad that's just 2-9. The Jaguars' offense is not good, scoring just 18.9 points per game, but they could get Trevor Lawrence back from his shoulder injury, although Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been that good so far this season. But Lawrence and the Jaguars' offense going against a Texans defense that is solid, allowing 22.3 points per game. On the flip side, the Texans' offense is okay, scoring 23.8 points a game, but they haven't been playing that well as of late. But I do think the Texans can get the offense going, as they face a terrible Jaguars defense that is allowing 28.7 points per game and over 400 yards per game. But I have the Texans getting the bounce back win, and they beat the Jaguars by a score of 31-14. Up next, we have the Rams at the Saints. So this is an interesting game, because neither team is that good, but I don't think either team is terrible either. As the Rams, they're 5-6, and the Saints, they're 4-7, but they've won both their games under interim head coach Darren Rizzi. The Rams are scoring 21.2 points a game, and they face the Saints defense that's allowing 23.6 points per game. Then on the flip side, the Saints are scoring 23.8 points a game, and they face the Rams defense allowing over 25 points per game. And they were just run over by the Eagles last week. But this is a game that I can definitely see going either way. The Saints, they've been playing decently well as of late, but I still don't really trust them, and I still don't think they're that good. So I'm going to take the Rams to get the win. I trust them more, and I've got them beating the Saints by a score of 20-19. But this game is pretty close to a coin flip. Up next, we have the Panthers hosting the Buccaneers. So the Panthers, they've actually been playing pretty well as of late, as they've won 2 of their last 3 games. And the one game they didn't win was last week when they played a 3-point game against the Chiefs. But the Panthers' offense has been a big reason for their success as of late, and Bryce Young has been playing pretty well. I think Bryce Young and the Panthers' offense can continue to play well, as they face the Buccaneers' defense that is not very good, as they allow over 250 passing yards per game and 24.8 points per game. On the flip side, while the Buccaneers' defense isn't good, their offense is great, as they're scoring 28.1 points per game, and they go against a Panthers defense that is the worst scoring defense in the NFL, allowing 30.9 points per game. So I actually think this is going to be a pretty good game. I think we're going to see a lot of points scored, and I do have the Buccaneers getting the win just because I don't think the Panthers defense is good enough, and I've got the Buccaneers winning this game in what ends up being a great game, high-scoring game. I've got the Buccaneers 31-26. Moving on, we have the Eagles at the Ravens. So this is a really interesting game, as the Ravens are 7-4, and they face the Eagles who are 9-2 and winners of 7 straight. The Ravens are great offensively, scoring 30.3 points per game, which is second best in the NFL, plus they're top 3 in both passing yards per game and rushing yards per game. But they match up against a great Eagles defense that is 6th best, allowing 18.1 points per game, plus the Eagles are great against both the pass and the run. Then on the other side, the Eagles are scoring 26.9 points per game, and they have the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL, rushing for 193 yards per game, plus Saquon Barkley ran for 255 yards last week. But they face a Ravens defense that allows a lot of points at 24.5 per game, and they're not good against the pass, but they're great against the run, allowing just 77.9 rushing yards per game, which is second fewest in the NFL. So that makes this matchup really interesting. And I could really see this game going either way. I could see the Eagles finding success through the air and winning the game that way, but I could also see the Ravens offense doing enough, moving the football and scoring against a tough Eagles defense, and it makes this game extremely difficult to predict. But I'm going to take the Ravens to get the win. I think their offense will do enough even against a great defense. I think their defense will contain Saquon Barkley and an elite Eagles run game. Plus, the Ravens are home, so I have the Ravens winning this game by a score of 27-24. But this is a great game and one that can definitely go either way. Up next, we have the 49ers at the Bills on Sunday Night Football. So we will have a live watch party for this game starting at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Sunday, so I hope to see you guys there. But this is an interesting game, and a game that could be great, but it really depends on if the 49ers are going to be playing without half their team or not, because they're so banged up. But the 49ers, they were destroyed by the Packers last week, but they're without several key players, and that makes this game tough to predict, because we don't know who's playing for the 49ers. But the 49ers, they play a great Bills team sitting at 9-2, and they've won 6 straight games. The Bills are scoring 29.1 points per game, and that ranks 3rd, and the 49ers defense hasn't been great, allowing 23.6 points per game. On the flip side, the 49ers are scoring 23.6 points a game, and they face a great Bills defense that's allowing 19.5 points per game. But I'm going to take the Bills to get the win here. We don't know who's playing for the 49ers, and even when they have been somewhat healthy, they really haven't been that good. So I'm going to take the Bills to get the win, and I've got them beating the 49ers by a score of 30-17. And the Bills can also clinch the AFC East this week with a win and a Dolphins loss. And our final game, we have the Browns at the Broncos on Monday Night Football. So we will also have a watch party for this game. Now it will start at about 8:15 Eastern Time on Monday. So again, I hope to see you guys there. But the Broncos, they're playing pretty well, and they face a Browns team that isn't good, but upset the Steelers last week. The Broncos are scoring 22 points a game, and they face a Browns defense that isn't the greatest, allowing 24.3 points a game. Offensively for the Browns, they also aren't great, as they're scoring just 16.9 points per game, but they have been solid with Jameis Winston at quarterback. But they now face an elite Broncos defense that is allowing just 16.8 points per game, and they're one of 3 teams allowing fewer than 300 yards per game. But the Broncos, they're playing well, they're the better team, their defense is great, and I'm going to take the Broncos to get the win here by a score of 24-13. But that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications so you don't miss any of their upcoming videos. I do my best to post as often as possible. Be sure to check out the community tab of my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win some of this week's big games. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.